Welcome, DG Lovelies, to Diversely Geek discusses why we love this so much. Seeing through the eyes of Alexander Hamilton, a new series for fans to explore our connection to Hamilton the musical, to the historic yet nascent life of one of the most relevant founding fathers of this country, to our own potential, possibilities, to our passion, compassion, and to find our voice. Just you wait, because we're not giving away our shot.
And I'm Nisha, I'm your moderator for this panel from Diversely Geek. And our three panelists today are Joe Martha, also from Diversely Geek, who's a social media communications director for the organization, and also studying diversity and global affairs. Put that all together. She's also an environmental sustainability specialist. And then we also have Aspasia Lindstrom in Hamilfe, who, amazing book this woman has. Psychologist, neuroscientist, but also a huge advocate for the benefits and influences of theater in terms of creating positivity in the world. Totally. So happy to have her on the panel. And again, we have the wonderful Sophia Plum, who is an expert seamstress and specialist in historical costuming, and much more than that. I could go on. So, great panel. I'm happy to have everyone here. And I'm going to run over.
And I'm your moderator. My name is Nisha, and I'm actually, for my CV, I'm actually a neuropsychiatry specialist. I work as a medical provider for a living. That's what I do. And I think this is fun. I do this because I'm very, very, very passionate about the ability of connecting to your fandom and what that effect has on us, our life, our abilities, and our potential. So.
Yes. She already claimed the end.
Nope.
Mom always has.
I always moderate from the end. Because I gesticulate a whole bunch, so I don't want to, I don't want to distract my poor families. So we're going to go straight in. There's a lot to discuss. As we were ourselves preparing for this panel, we just all spilled out a plethora of discussion. So I really wanted to be organic. I will give you points, but I really want the three of you to discuss. Okay. And then we'll go from there. Okay? So, I'm going straight in. What does having diverse representation mean in terms of Hamilton, the musical, but Hamilton as an Alexander Hamilton as well? How do you juxtapose that? And then what are examples of representation?
Who's starting?
You can start.
You have the mic? Yes. Okay. So I'm a theater group back in Claremont, Florida, and there's a couple points here. One point is, back in Hamilton days, you never would have had such a diverse cast that Lynn chose to so cautiously and on purposely. Can I say this? Is that a word? On purposely? It's
purposely.
On purpose. Put almost like a chess match. It's kind of like, okay, I put all these people out here. I put in African American Jefferson. I put in African American Lawrence. I put in a Hispanic Hamilton. Back in those days, that would have been unheard of, right? You wouldn't have had such a multicultural, diverse group of people to even be in the same room together and to be working so closely together. Back then, an African American person was treated like a slave. So, to have that group represent our history, our foundation of our country, it is. It's like a chess game, and Lynn's kind of saying, okay, here's my social movement, America. Checkmate. What are you going to do with that? And I just think it's brilliant that he was able to, put everybody out there like that and then just change the whole. All I can come up with is movement right now. He just changed. He shifted what, you know, whether you're this party or this race or that race or whatever you are, you're in the same room watching my musical and you're singing the songs together in harmony. And that, I think, was his point. That is what he wanted to bring home to that musical.
The unification movement is what we came up with.
Yeah, the unification movement.
I just want to say this is not the moment, it's the movement. That's right. Yeah, it's not a moment, it's the movement.
You're right. That's right. That's true.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm Sophia.
Oh, here you go. Sure. So, and we also wanted to talk. We talked earlier about costuming and diversity, and especially when you see the cast of Hamilton and seeing how the styling is very different. You know, everyone has their hair down and they're wearing their hair naturally, which is nice too, which I really appreciate in the costuming element, because I mean that really is bringing something new to the stage and not having your typical look. And it also, I mean, I don't know if I was thinking about this earlier, it kind of reminds me of how Shakespeare plays are often cast differently now, which I love. I think that's wonderful. It's casting a different era or casting a different cast than what would have been at the time period. So I feel like having that casting ability has really helped Broadway as a whole grow.
Do you think that it's removed the label or the expectation?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what's really great about it, is you're seeing things move in that direction. And even on film, too, it's nice to see that kind of open up.
So how do you see that as a positive change in representation? So you're giving great examples, but in terms of film and theater and art, where do you see that as a positive, like you said, unification movement, but as a sense of self-acceptance and the potential for artists, our young artists, to be able to open doors, you know, go out there and knock on doors. Anyone?
I can kind of talk on that because I actually just went to state competition thespian. Are you thespians out here? Yes. And you know, when I won't try to date myself here, but you know, because I'm 22. But when I was a thespian, you had to have the women do women parts, the men parts, and just like to your point. But now it's, you know, you can still see some of the theater teachers going, ooh, I don't want to do it because I don't know how it's going to be perceived, and then they go for it and the audience loves it. So I definitely do see, you know, that it's that the change just from when I did theater to when my kids are doing theater. You did theater too.
Yeah, actually, we talked about this, but for me, when I was in high school, I wanted to pursue musical theater. One of the main reasons I didn't was because I'd never seen a brown person on Broadway. And I just thought, well, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous dream. I'm never going to make it. Like, that's impossible. And then...
Hey, I was telling her the whole time, go do it. Just so you
She
guys understand.
encouraged me the entire time.
Just so...
It has to do with representation. Really does matter. Because it's a subconscious, subliminal message that we are constantly feeding ourselves. If we don't see ourselves, basically we don't self-reflect and don't empathize and find an identity, in something that we can relate to around us. So, for me last year, seeing Shoba as Eliza, I was shocked. I was thoroughly shocked, and then became lightly obsessed and lightly. Yeah.
Can that happen with this music?
I know, right?
So in case you don't know, Shobha Narayan is the first East Indian descent female to be in a prime role in musical theater or theater.
Woo! And she just ended her run. I unfortunately didn't get to see her, but this anyways, yeah, it's amazing to think it's not even a generation away where me in high school didn't have that, but now kids in high school right now have all sorts of representations. So, you know, dreaming and just being completely open to any possibility is a complete reality. And I couldn't even imagine that when I was in high school, so I can't even imagine what it would have been like. I mean, I'm going to date her when she was in high school.
I'm not giving away.
You're 22,
age.
right? You are
I'm 22 as well.
Thank you.
I turned 23 tomorrow, by the way.
Happy
Just so you
birthday.
guys know.
It is actually her birthday tomorrow.
It's actually my birthday tomorrow. So you brought up a point. The only reason I grabbed it is because I'm sorry about that. Last year I attended Broadway Con and was really lucky to sit in a panel about diversity and inclusiveness and how strongly the Broadway and theater community is committed to making that change. So I interviewed Shola last year. That's how I got to meet her. That conversation, I will pull it up so you guys can listen to it. She was in shock herself that she had been cast.
Wow.
But she gave all the kudos to her parents. Her parents stepped out of the box of expectation and what we call presenteeism in terms of cultural norms. So when you're living a life like us, where we're from a different, maybe racially different, socially different, caste different, we fall into boxes of expectation. And what I feel Hamilton gives us is the ability to step out of that. It opens a window.
So how do you guys want to comment?
I mean, I would just say in general, I think Broadway as a whole, it is that, box shattering reality for people. Because there's no one that's really, it's like, oh, you're in the box of Broadway. That's where you're going in life. Like, that's not a thing. Broadway is, in and of itself, a diverse, open community meant for everyone. Music is meant for everyone. Dance is meant for everyone. Art is meant for everyone. So it's, a combination of everything that's everyone.
Just stepping on that, I know for myself, I also went to a predominantly white high school, and I'm of a mixed race background, so just seeing how things have progressed, because I actually went back to my high school last year to see them do Les Mis, and it was amazing, because again, they had that, the diversity in casting and in gender casting, which was really nice too, because I feel like that's happening, that's a slower growth than diversity in general in casting, so I really enjoyed that. But I feel like we're going to see that more and more on Broadway.
Yep, we're going to see women in the sequel.
Yeah.
So having budding young actors and actresses coming up. Although one other thing I did want to point out is Broadway. Before Hamilton, Broadway was dying. Broadway was just not where it was, like back, when they had, chorus line and all that, and it was on its heyday. It just plummeted. People weren't going to Broadway shows. And, Hamilton, in all of its diverseness, gives me hope as a country that, something so diverse and so, out of the box, would still have such a following. And we joked a little bit of the obsession, but it really it's a life changer. How many of you feel like this musical has changed your life in one way or another? Definitely you, right? For sure. Because and people laugh, and it just I don't know and maybe some of you feel this way too. But when I first started listening to this musical, I was anti-Hamilton. It's like, I'm not going to listen to this musical. Everybody's telling me to listen. I don't like things that are all hyped up. I'm not listening. I thought Lynn is way too political. I'm not listening to this musical. And I was driving to St. Pete to visit here. I was driving here, but not for this. It was for something else. And I was driving to St. Pete to visit a friend. And by the third song, I'm crying my eyes out because I couldn't, just the imagery in my head of what the picture was painting. But I will tell you, and I told them this the other night, that I thought that King George and John Adams had a thing. Because he says, I know him. That's that little guy who was at 85. And so I really thought,
Can we say that here? I'm sorry.
is that okay? Did I say something?
No.
Cover your ears, honey. Okay, anyway, they're theater kids. So they're theater kids, right? They're around it. So that, you know, it was such a life changer. And then as I followed it, because it's not just Hamilton, as we all know, it's in the Heights. It's even in Mary Poppins. You know, it's everything that guy touches is okay. I'm going to change your mind today. I am going to, you're thinking this, but watch, I'm going to paint this beautiful picture for you, and you're going to see it in a totally different way. And I think that's the whole, Hamilton is awesome, and, all the people involved in Hamilton are amazing, but, I think, and then with the history and all too, but I think, with him being the main creator, and then you see, all these other little tangents he goes off in life. He's still telling the story. He hasn't stopped telling it.
So, in keeping with that was that next question.
No,
no, it's perfect actually. So, the Hamilton libretto is so much more than the medium of rap, like you were saying, right? Or musical theater. It's connected and culturally strengthening, and just absolutely pure fun, and tells us to be engaged in that fun. And as adults, we don't often do that. That's a problem. We need to understand that we should have fun in our life, healthy fun. How does this new linguistic style pace the way for social change?
Yeah.
I mean, it came at a time with spoken word. I would say spoken word and poetry have skyrocketed in popularity amongst the younger generations, and I think it's beautiful. It's not just spoken word and poetry in modern forms of, say, rap. It's in general actually learning about, say, iambic pentameters and the structure of actual poetry, and I think that that's something beautiful. The impact that a piece of art can have on the world socially, it's amazing to see that this one play with all the thousands of choices that went into it will have so an impact on the entire world. I'd also say that Lynn has been doing that forever. I mean, within the Heights at the time, it's just, if you think about the times with media technology back in early 2000s, we didn't have the ability to have something, this piece of art, be so widespread. So we're lucky that Hamilton came at the time that it did. It was able to reach a global audience in the way that it has.
Adding on to that, what I think is really nice about the music is that it reaches out to people who wouldn't necessarily listen to spoken word or rap or anything that's not a show tune. So I think it's great that it's reached that audience. Like, even I have family members that I would say would never listen to this type of music who have gotten into it, which I think is great. And it's nice that it can bring in so many different groups of people together to listen to one thing.
Sorry, I'll jump in really quick. In terms of the musical brilliance of Hamilton is, you think, okay, it's a rap musical. It's totally not. I mean, we had some trivia earlier.
Yep.
There are so many references to so many different things. Of course, Miranda Lynn pays homage to plenty of brilliant, rap artists themselves, but also jazz, classic Broadway, in itself, plays and writers. He references works of arts from all walks of life. And I think that that's something that he didn't realize would have an impact of these people around the world not even knowing that indirectly exposed to so much.
And I just had a conversation with one of the moms who we've been doing trivia with, and she's a professor of math, and I don't think she's here. And I wanted to really, what a brilliant conversation we had, because she wasn't sure how you could juxtapose math and science with this, and I said, I'm going to tell you how. Do you remember that question we had about how many words and how fast? And I told you Lynn had to calculate to be able to make sure that those 20,000 words fit into 2.5 hours, and that David was able to do those 144 syllables in the amount of time he had to do that piece of musical art. And as I delved more into the
the science and the tech side of it, I was like, okay, there's steam everywhere. You know, it's incredible. And we had a full 20-something minute conversation about how you can connect math, science, technology, art. That's why it's now STEAM. It's not just STEM anymore, because art is connected, indelibly connected.
That's a great point, because being a theater person, I've made a couple parodies of the Hamilton songs, or tried to, and it's really hard. Like, if you've ever tried to do a parody of Alexander Hamilton, it's like, I don't have any more words. Like, I am at a loss of words, and I'm Greek, and that doesn't happen. So, you know, it's like, I can't come up with another stanza to match that stanza to match that stanza. So, I mean, he's brilliant. Like, the writing of that is just, to me, it's like a modern day Mozart. It's
really, and actually a modern day Alexander Hamilton. Because I couldn't have thought of someone else who could imbibe the spirit and the motivation and the living genius of Hamilton, to have transposed it into someone of this caliber, but yet you could never have thought it would make sense.
Yeah.
How much more of an example do we need that art belongs everywhere? And without art, we're basically lifeless in a sense. So, sorry, soapbox.
I just like to share something that was profound to me when I had a chance to go backstage after some of the performances of Bobby Pigs.
Lucky.
I was supposed to be with you. Don't rub it in.
It's even bigger than what you're talking about how diversity serves. It's even beyond it, because through the diversity, he's actually uniting us. Because they both told me in two different conversations about it, they didn't really feel connected to our nation. They felt that it was created by old white guys 200 years ago. They felt disconnected. So by this and them having to learn the roles and learning about their characters, it wasn't a perfect union. We had to keep making it more perfect. But they embraced it. They gave permission for more of the nation to embrace and learn about the difficulties, but the same debates then as now. And that diversity that Lynn chose has caused more unity of understanding of history.
That's amazing. That's actually, I mean,
That sums it up.
yeah.
We can get up. We can leave now.
No, that was actually the craziest thing is that's one of our next points. We're actually going to speak exactly to that. That was perfect, Ran. Come on.
Yeah, what we
Told you.
is how diversity brings us together. It's about unity, diversity, positivity, and acceptance all leads to unity. That's what we do as Diversely Geek. I 100% agree, and I think that the best thing that came out of this musical was the spotlight that it brought to history, because I did not learn any of this in my history class, in my U.S. history class, and to be intrigued by history again. It's something. It sparked a generation to look back into American history. I was just gonna say, my kids come home and they're like, they know about the cabinet battle, and even I'll go and look it up, and they know about the Reynolds Panther, because I always skip that song, but now they know about it, so I have to. I'm like, well, okay, yeah. And it's amazing how accurate. Because I know a lot of critics will go out and they'll go, oh no, it's not accurate. It is so accurate. I mean, yeah, maybe the Schuyler sisters not having, they had sons or whatever. Who cares? But it's a good song. But some of the stuff is so. I did that today. This morning, I was reading what Angelica said. The comma after dearest. That's true. That really happened. So so that really does imply, and he was able to kind of infer that. Yeah, maybe there was a little bit more there than just a friendly sister-in-law. Maybe she did kind of have a yes.
Also, we hear from teachers that never could interest their students in history, and the students are outdoing the teachers. The teachers learn old stuff,
Yeah.
and they've had to grow in their own understanding. And so it's a joyful thing that the The students are leading the teachers.
That's amazing.
Sophia,
No, I mean,
okay. Yeah, and it's amazing to think that, a musical, a play, a man, whether it's Miranda or Hamilton himself, because obviously the play wouldn't happen without Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that indirectly, Hamilton is still having this
My goodness.
global influence on the world. It's amazing to think how history can be brought into the present and still make a change. When you're left in history, your legacy will always live on.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because how many of us really knew? I mean, I will admit, I did kind of think that he was a president. Because he's on a bill. I really kind of, So there's so much that we don't know. We didn't know about Alexander Hamilton until this musical came to light.
So there's something that I really want us to talk about very quickly, and I will reach into the audience for this next part as well. So what I want to really highlight is, in my studies running up to these panels, it occurred to me that without the indomitable challenges that Hamilton himself faced, we would none of us would be here today. Not the way that we are now. The reality that we know would be completely different. And I'm very much hesitant to know what it would have been like. Especially for people who are multiracial, from diverse backgrounds. And the fact that Lynn is bringing to presence to give us a way to connect back to the thing and the legacy that gave us the potential for the country that we live in, the potential for our freedoms, is mind-blowing. It's emotional, because I'm an immigrant. I came here as a 3-year-old kid, also from the Caribbean, so I'm very connected from that point. So learning his history, I learned my own histories, which was pretty crazy for me. And I delved straight into it. How would that have happened if this musical had never existed? You have to really look at it from that point of view. None of us would be sitting here today. I'm saying that reaching across all borders, genders, races, ages, especially ages. How many times have you seen something connect almost every generation? Right now, tell me how many are in the age between 10 and 15. Put your hands up for me. Wow. Okay. How many people here are between 15 and 25? Yeah, you just need it.
You're not going to go any higher, are you?
I am. You don't have to self-profess. How many are between 25 and 35 or 40? Wow. And now 40 upwards of 60? How many from 60 and above?
Wow.
So, what I want you to know... All right, I'm giving you a standing ovation, ma'am. Just letting you know. So, with you being here in this room...
85 and older.
Did you ever think you'd see the day, honestly, where we would, across all generations, genders and races, show such love and appreciation for Hamilton?
No, I did not, and I think that my late husband, would have been so proud of all of you, and especially Rachel, for the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society.
Yep.
Because
Woo!
all of his life, he tried to do things and get Hamilton's name up front. And that's why when he was on President Eisenhower's committee for the birthplace of Boyhood Home, and he signed
if we could find it. Again. That was from your panel earlier.
Mm-hmm. That was my husband's brother-in-law and his sister-in-law that donated that portrait to the.
Yeah, I saw that. It was amazing.
So
So
without the living and departed people that were actually part of the story, that were a part of history, that maintain our history, this wouldn't be anything. The AHA has 100% supported Hamilton to become what it is today.
and that's why I wanted to call it to everyone's attention. When we look at diversity, we need to understand that it's a very broad spectrum. We really can't box in the definition of what we call diverse. So we are a diverse cast sitting right here in this audience today. And the fact that we can literally have 100 years represented sitting here should tell you something. This is what this unification movement called Hamilton, the musical, has brought to us, and what it has the potential to continue to bring to us as the message is spread literally globally. Because in 2020, they're going to be taking it to Canada, and then from then it's going to be spread across the world. So the language, it's unbelievable what the potential is. So it's amazing that all of you are sitting here and part of this message.
I just want to say, being 73 years old and living in the northern part of the country, it's original, as my bride said.
Me too, New York.
There. Hamilton is bringing us together as a culture, as a nation, as people of color, as people of nationalities. You look at me, you'll say, I'm Italian, my name is Gaspari, but I grew up outside of New York City on a farm, and my grandparents were Hispanic. I grew up this way. And back in those days, there was a culture shock, culture difference. Women didn't get the right to vote until the 1920s. I remember this. My mother does. But even Afro-Americans had the right to vote before women did in the country. A lot of people don't realize that. Women didn't have a right to own land in many, many states. But Hamilton, as a play, for Broadway, for bringing the arts together, is bringing our country together.
Yes.
100%.
I think more young people are looking at that, and they're visualizing themselves. I'm just not black or white or Hispanic, but I'm a true American in the culture of American and the revolution and what Hamilton is doing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to read you really quickly a note I wrote. And, I don't know who's going to come and sit and talk to us and reach out across. So this is to tell you how much of a truth this is, this message. I wrote that the potentials for learning, for coming together as a nation, through the lives of the characters in the medium of the show, lends to the biggest takeaway is that we are all sitting here together, listening together, hearing this message, and we love it as one, regardless of where we came from. So, great panel. Hey, I was listening to it too, and it was a great panel from my point of view.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. That input was amazing. That's how we actually love having our discussions, because if it's just us talking, that's one thing. But to actually engage with the community and have a discussion, that's
and people can find more of your discussions where?
Yes, Diversely Geek discusses. We actually have a series on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram,
on iTunes and Spotify. You can find our podcast.
Just search for Diversely Geek.
Correct, yes. We do have a table out there you can grab a card on if you didn't catch what I'm saying, which is totally cool.
Thank you guys so much. I know we could have kept going, right? This is amazing.